Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video we're gonna answer one simple question. How you can get filthy rich at League Start and rock that headhunter as early as possible, or if you want to go for a bit of a hipster build, go for that too. Well, the answer is boss killing. That is absolutely the best way to accumulate currency as a player outside of trading early on in a league. If you have the time to put in and you execute everything I talk about here, I can guarantee you will make an absolute truckload of currency. Guaranteed. Alright, let's get into it. So what bosses are you going for? Well, early on, the main boss you want to target is Shaper. Shaper is guaranteed currency return at all points in the league. Regardless. The reason that it's guaranteed is that he drops an Uber Elder fragment. This Uber Elder fragment is always going to be at equilibrium with the Shaper set or above. The only exception to this is if any of the Shaper items are much more expensive than, the set itself. So, if Dying Sun is for some reason 10 exalts, then it may be a bit cheaper. But generally, the fragment offsets the set completely, so there is zero risk. And most times later on in the league, the fragment actually exceeds the cost of the set itself. So running Shaper will always be profit. But the faster you get to Shaper, the more his drops are worth. If you can get the Shaper on day one, all of his drops are worth multiple exalts and will exceed the cost of the set just by default. So Shaper will always be profit even if you're on week 3 or 4, and the faster you get to him, the more money you earn. So just there, already that answers your question. How do you get rich? Rush Shaper with the best build possible and kill him as much as possible as early as possible. There it is. But obviously we need more detail, more options, more ways to make currency, and what build are you going to take? These are all very good questions. Let's get into the answers. So there's a few other options if you want to diversify your farming or want to look for bigger opportunities. Maybe you get the Shaper on day 5 or 6 and he's not looking just as juicy as he used to. Well, you can also look into Guardian invitation farming. It is going to be as strong as ever, if not stronger, with the changes to how group invitations work. So you're going to make an absolute truckload off of farming invitations as well. There may be some adjustments to the Atlas passives, but even without them, Guardians are one of the most profitable things you can do in this game, right up there with the most competitive mapping strategies. So if you have a boss killer that can do Shaper or Guardians, you're in really good shape to make an absolute killing. So if you're not looking at either of those, you can also look at farming Normal Elder. Normal Elder is also a very good option, as he also drops an Uber Elder fragment, which really does offset the cost of his set there. He also does drop a Watcher's Eye. I'd recommend selling that unidentified. You may want to identify them at League Start though, as the market for unidentified items like that isn't very high, but he also does drop a slew of very powerful uniques, which early on are worth quite a considerable amount. So you've got Shaper, you've got invitations, and you have Elder. That is plenty to keep you occupied and will earn you more than enough for pretty much any build. As long as you get there and you're persistent enough with your farming, you will make an absolute killing and can easily farm your headhunter in a matter of days. So if you put the time in, you're gonna make the currency. So what kind of a build do you need to get to Shaper or Elder as fast as possible? Ideally, you'd want to get there, in 1 or 2 play sessions. Obviously, if they're long play sessions, that's even better, but if you can get there in, 2 or 3 days, or, even week 1, that's going to be a massive amount of currency for you. So how do you do it? Well, there's a few criteria that you want to clear for your league starter. There's a lot of league starters floating around. How do you differentiate the ones that'll be able to do boss killing effectively and powerfully early versus all the ones which are gonna fall flat? Well, there's a few things you want to look for. Number 1, it needs to be low budget. If your league starter guide is rolling around in a 6th link like Shavron's Wrappings or Cloak of Defiance, You know, rocking a 5-link Tremor Rod, you know, that probably isn't a good league starter to look for Shaper farming, which is one of the best ways to make currency early, as we just covered. You're looking for someone who's got a build guide rocking a Tabula Rasa and some rare 2-mod weapons. That's what you're looking for, you know, and maybe they're rocking some like, you know, some jewels and some cluster jewels. You know, the later on builds, like which use the shads, that's for later. League starts, you want that tabby start. That's where the big awesome league starts up. Next thing, you want a build that scales off of gem levels, not weapons. So, you know, something that scales off gem levels, a good example of this is a mine-based build, one that scales off spells. So, you know, if you're like Frostbolt mines, Blazing Salvo mines, these are all fantastic options. Things that scale off of gem levels inherently gain power as you play for free, all the way up until level 20. You know, rocking a 20 gem of, you know, like Blazing Salvo is far more impactful than rocking like, you know, a level 20, you know, Burning Arrow or something like that. Because, you know, it scales with more multipliers as it gains gem levels. So, you want it to be cheap, you want it to scale off gem levels, and you also want it to have a smooth power curve. So what do I mean by that? So the power curve of a build refers to how powerful it is at different points of the story, you know, the atlas, etc. You want one which is basically a straight line, you know, something that does the story really, really well, and it just continues to get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that is why you're going for a build that scales off gem levels, because, you know, every time that gem levels up, you get a bit stronger. But, you know, if you're talking something like a weapon-based build, you know, maybe you like get to maps and you buy a Terminus Est, and your power goes way up, and then it plateaus until you buy that Star Forge or something that you need. So yeah, that is why we go with the gem levels, but you want the smoothest curve possible. So some good examples of builds with incredibly smooth curves. You know, something like totems, freeze pulse totems is a good one. Any mine-based spell build, you know, toxic rain is good. You know, stuff like Blazing Salvo, as I mentioned, frostbolt is also good. You know, minion builds are fantastic as they scale off those gem levels, super duper good as well. All these builds are really, really good. You know, toxic rain in general is a good one, as I mentioned, mines or self-cast. Basically, low budget, scales off gem levels, and has a smooth power curve. If you take all these things into consideration and you make sure that you have a plan for each part of the atlas, you want to do something like a leapfrog strategy for your atlas, you will be able to get to Shaper fast, and you will be able to execute this plan and get an absolute ton of currency by selling the boss drops and also the fragments. If you really want to go massive though, you can also look at farming the high tier invitations like the Feared, Cortex is an option as well, and Uber Elder, despite it being a massive gamble, can be extremely profitable early on, and there is also a lot of fantastic opportunity in the new Atziri fights. People are going to be really looking for the new chess piece, the Sacrificial Garb, due to the fact that it has +1 to all Val skill gems. If you want more information on which bosses to kill, you can also check out PoE Profit. It is a website that I run, which basically has all of the boss drops at this time and, you know, how profitable they are. So as I mentioned in the video, you know, Shaper is always profitable. Even right now in Ritual League, you're going to make 50C pretty much guaranteed profit just from the fragments alone. So very, very good there. Hopefully this guys has taught you guys something about how to make currency early. It is always about that boss rush. Make sure you get to the bosses early for maximum currency, but even if you're a little bit late, you will still make guaranteed gains. So with all that said, hopefully you guys are looking forward to the league start. Keep your eyes peeled for my league start plans and build. And without further ado, I'll end the video. See you guys in the next one. Catch ya.